what we're looking at right now is we're actually already scouting for not only the remainder of this year's events, but also all of next year's events.
Hey everyone, I am at Riot Games right now with the head of NA Esports, Chris Hopper, better known as Chopper, right?
Yes.
Okay. So how should should they call you Chopper? How does this go? Because this was one of your first interviews.
Yeah, I usually go by Chopper. My handle's Riot Chopper on Twitter and in the game. Too many Chris's born in the mid '80s, so way easier to have a nickname.
Okay, good to know. So really quickly before we get into the exciting stuff, this is, as we referenced, one of your first times on camera. People might not know what your involvement is. Just a quick little bio for you.
Sure. I came to Riot back in 2012, right around the time of the World Championships, with the goal of helping to launch the NA and EU LCS. So I did a lot of the league ops work back then on rule sets and team agreements and things like that. Did that for about 2 or 3 years. Got sick of working with Nick Allen and decided I was going to go work with our international team. So for 3 years, I've been leading our international initiative and working with all of our 13 pro regions around the world. And then took a role helping out with the franchising effort in NA, and kind of got excited to come back to NA, to come back to the product that I'd originally come to Riot to help build. And so here I am, kind of came back to the team and incredibly excited about the opportunities in front of us.
Well, enough about you. Let's talk about something really exciting. As we're filming this, it's not announced, but as people are watching it, it is. What is going on with NA Spring Finals?
For the NA Spring Finals, we are taking our talents to South Beach. We are going to Miami, to the Fillmore Miami Beach, and we are incredibly excited. Miami is an awesome city. Florida has an incredible player base. The Fillmore is an iconic venue in Florida, and so we're super excited to have the venue locked and to be able to announce it today.
Yeah. And with, because I know that this was scheduled beforehand and people kind of probably knew the dates, but just in case people didn't know, when is this taking place?
So it'll be April 7th and 8th. We'll have the 3rd and 4th place match on the 7th, and we'll have the championship match on the 8th.
Okay. All right, so let's dive in a little bit. So why Florida? Because we went there before for Tallahassee at MSI, my favorite city. I was very excited about the fact that it was in Tallahassee, a great international town, but now we're doing it in the small suburbs of South Beach, Miami. So why the change, or why go back to Florida, I guess?
Yeah, when we looked at the demographics around the country, Miami and sort of South Florida in general has an incredibly large player base and an incredibly passionate esports audience. It's been a while since we were even in the area remotely with Tallahassee, but to be honest, the distance between Tallahassee and Miami is more than the distance between San Francisco and LA. And if you told San Franciscoans that an LA event counted for them, I think they'd be pretty upset. So we've constantly been looking at opportunities to go back. I mean, it's an incredible market. It's going to be, a great place for the pros. It's going to be a great place for fans to visit. So we've been looking for a way to make Miami and South Florida happen for a long time. And this just happened to be a great opportunity to go to a really cool venue and make it work for the Spring Finals.
Yeah. Are we going to be going with like a spring break theme for this? Because it is right around that time, right?
It is around that time. We're working with a couple different kind of interesting themes, a little spring break, a little Miami Vice, a little sort of just traditional elements of Miami culture. One of the things we love to do when we go to host cities is tap into the culture of that city. And so I think there's going to be some really interesting material that our content team is able to put out that taps into some of the spirit of Miami.
Now, talk to me about the Fillmore, because I know this is a pretty iconic venue, but admittedly I'm not too familiar with it. Maybe some of the other people watching this video are not.
Yeah, so it's a venue that's been around for decades. It was opened and did originally a lot of TV shows. Most famously, the Jackie Gleason show was there for a while. It's actually called the Fillmore South Beach Jackie Gleason Theater is the full name, I think. But it had the Dick Van Dyke Show. It had Johnny Carson. And then it sort of transitioned into doing a lot more sort of shows and concerts. And over the last 2 years, it's been one of the busiest sort of mid-sized venues in the country. It's doing like over 200 concerts a year. So it's an incredibly well-known, very kind of operationally efficient venue. Like, it's a great staff there. And it's just a really cool look and feel. It's a little different than the styles of venues that we normally go to. And, we go to a bunch of basketball arenas and lets us do cool things there, but this is a little bit smaller. It's an Art Deco style theater. So we're going to get some different shots. It's going to have a little bit of a different look and feel. And the audience is going to be a lot closer to the action. So they're going to feel more a part of the show. So we're excited about kind of the different opportunities this theater lends us.
Yeah, so why was that a strategic decision to go with something that was a little bit different than the arenas that we've seen in the past?
Yeah, we've been thinking about the differences between the spring and the summer finals and trying to be a little bit more conscious about our design for the two. And so going forward, we're going to be looking at probably a little bit smaller venues for spring that allow us to do a little bit more creative elements to include the audience, get different shots, get different look and feel for the show. And then for summer, kind of tap into the passion of the big crowds and get, the larger venues that really allow us to get, 7 to 10,000 people in there and really kind of get that roar going. Having that diversity of venue also allows us to hit a more diverse set of geographies, which is an exciting part for us. If we were only going after the biggest venues in the country, we'd start to really hone in on the same kind of 4 to 6 markets repeatedly. And we want to make sure that we're able to bring that live event to more people. So having a diverse set of experiences and a diverse set of geographies is an important part of this for us.
Now, one of the things I'd love to talk to you a little bit about this, because folks that are watching this interview might know that I did a video last week very much whining about how you guys hadn't announced this yet. Thankfully, shortly thereafter, I started to hear that an announcement was coming soon. But, compared to a lot of major entertainment events, I've noticed that a lot of Riot events get announced pretty short, close to the actual date, right? Which is an issue for people planning, not just in the industry, but also for fans. So is this something that you guys consider to be an issue, or is it just sort of the nature of League of Legends esports? I mean, where are you guys at on this type of thing?
It's absolutely an issue. For us, we recognize that delaying announcements or not having an announcement ready far enough in advance hurts players. It hurts their ability to travel. It hurts their ability to attend the events. And at the end of the day, if players are kind of experiencing that pain, that motivates us to make a change. So what we're looking at right now is we're actually already scouting for not only the remainder of this year's events, but also all of next year's events, both on the NA side and the Central side. And so what we're looking to do is really kind of widen out those windows in advance to be able to announce the venues. It's incredibly difficult for us to find venues. We have a lot of requirements that your average concert or sporting event don't have. But we are committed to making this a reality that our fans will know where and when the events are, and it'll also reap benefits for content creators who want to talk to the culmination of a storyline. It'll benefit the teams who kind of know what they're building towards at the end of the season. So there's a lot of advantages to us doing this, and it was kind of about developing the internal processes and procedures such that we can lock those venues in far enough in advance.
Yeah, because one of the things that I thought was really neat was that I believe the EU show, or EU LCS opened with sort of teasing where Spring Finals was going to be. What has it been historically that has held North America back from, or and EU has only started to do this recently, but sort of held League of Legends back from being able to get the stuff going?
Honestly, it's the degree of certainty around the venue. I think if you asked us where we were going, we could give you a 90% certainty about probably the next several venues we'll be at. But at the end of the day, we don't want to miscommunicate a venue that we end up not being able to get for contractual reasons. And there's a lot of contractual elements that we have to work out with venues across security, across merchandise, across concessions, across technical elements of the show. And so until we actually have all of those locked down, we don't feel comfortable committing to announcing something with a degree of speculation, knowing that fans might go ahead and buy tickets, hoping that ends up being the real answer. So we've been a little bit conservative on that side to try and prevent false information from getting out. But at the end of the day, what we're working on is just solidifying those contracts a lot earlier and just making sure that we get the materials locked down. So sometimes you get an EU where they get the contract way in advance and everything works out perfectly, and then sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to get one in place.
Yeah. And one of the things that you mentioned sort of at the start of this answer was talking about how you guys are looking at things not just along, looking at venues in advance, not just for North America, but also for Central. Mm-hmm. I know Central within Riot Speak kind of refers to stuff that isn't just, tied to one region. Can you explain what you mean by the Central concept?
Sure. So for Central, we have sort of a group of people who work on things that are larger than any one particular region. So whether you're thinking about events where it pertains to things like MSI and Worlds, or you're thinking about league operations where it's things like the Global Penalty Index or the Interregional Movement Policy, there's a set of folks that need to be able to tackle issues that are bigger than just North America or just Korea or just Europe. And so in referring to Central events, I'm talking about things like Worlds and MSI and trying to lock in some of those venues earlier and be able to communicate some of that information, just like we're trying to do with North America.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you brought that up because while I know the purpose of this interview is to talk about NA Spring Finals, and you can't talk necessarily about where MSI and Worlds are, can you give us an idea? Because, while NA Spring Finals, it's a domestic audience going to a, domestic area, MSI is not too long after Spring Finals, and it's an international event. So there's in some ways much more planning even needed for something like that. So how how should fans expect to find out about MSI and Worlds and all that kind of stuff as the year goes on?
I would say in a similar fashion in North America, we've typically tried to split the two announcement strategies just to allow both events their proper time to breathe and proper time to kind of gain traction with the audience. But I would say, in the next couple of weeks, you should be seeing a similar announcement strategy from the MSI team.
Okay, cool. So can't wait to find out where MSI is going to be. Other than that, is there anything that you would like to tease a little bit, or anything you want to say here at the end for fans that are thinking about, do I want to make the trip to Miami? Do I, when is all this stuff happening? And also anything you can mention around when we can expect to see ticket sales and all that stuff so people can start planning.
So we're going to be making an announcement about ticket sales in the next couple days, so you should be seeing some information coming up very soon about where and when you can buy those tickets. In terms of the show, from the early kind of materials I've seen, it's going to be another incredible show, and judging from the competition of the teams this year, it's going to be some incredible play. So I'm super excited about the event. Miami is going to be quite the spectacle, and our content team is always great at really capturing the soul of a city. And so I think between, the location, the event that we're going to put on, and the play that you'll see on stage, this to me is the setup for one of the best spring finals we've ever had.
Thank you so much for the interview, Chopper. Really appreciate it. For everyone else, you can check out the rest of my coverage of all things esports right here on my YouTube channel.
Hey guys, it's Travis Gafford from NA Esports Company, because I still don't have a job. But if you like me, you could support me at travisgafford.com/support. Do it. Thanks, Omni Slash.